Mr. King. Mr. Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Brennan, you have spoken frequently about the unmanned aerial vehicles and program. The President at NDU in May gave one of the more detailed accounts of the criteria that's used in those otherwise known as drone efforts. You've tried to increase transparency in the program. One way that I think would increase transparency and public accountability is if we could publish an annual report that identified how many combatants were killed through the use of unarmed or unmanned vehicles and how many non-combatants were killed. That seems to me a very limited value in terms of information to our adversaries, but in terms of public accountability and being able to correct the record at times when there are misleading claims of civilian casualties, it might be beneficial as well. Is that something that you could support? Would that be another effort, transparency, that we can make? And would that, in your view, as in mine, be of fairly de minimis value to our adversaries?
I think it would be a recommendation that would have to go to the administration, and I would be a participant in the interagency process to discuss the advantages and potential disadvantages of it. But it's certainly a worthwhile recommendation if you would like to make that.
Can you share any thoughts with us today on any of the costs of that? I mean, if it were done, say, at the end of the year, if we had categories so you could not pinpoint any particular incident, is it your sense that the cost in terms of giving our adversaries any useful information would be fairly minimal?
Congressman, I think this would be something, again, for you to be able to discuss with the administration, with policymakers, and then what we need to do is to take a look at it analytically and determine whether or not this is something that the U.S. government feels as though would be worthwhile to do. There is a lot of debate about, what is the basis for those determinations and those numbers, and so it's something, again, I would defer to the administration on.
Well, thank you, Director. I'll follow up with you on that. The President, in his speech in May, also indicated that there's a wide disparity of view regarding those numbers, and I think more transparency and public accountability would be beneficial. Director Clapper, moving to some of the privacy issues that have come up in the last 6 months, the tech companies are in a pretty impossible situation. They have a business model which includes a lot of international business, which is becoming increasingly difficult to come by. There's a settlement recently with the Justice Department that allows some more transparency, which I think will be helpful to them. Can we go beyond that to let them assure their international customers that the number of times they're asked to divulge information is very limited compared to the overall number of transactions? And are there other ways that we can help them make the international business case? Because it's very much, I think, in our interest to do so.
Well, first, Congressman, thanks for citing the agreement that was recently struck with the providers on categories of disclosures that they can now make, and they already have, which I think shows that is part of the administration's commitment to try to improve that situation. And I also think it shows in the relative population out there how infrequently these capabilities are called upon. One of the features of which was in the speech and in the presidential policy directive was to see what we could do to extend privacy protections to non-U.S. citizens. Now, this is, I think, unique in the world, so we're looking at that. And again, just like in our own domestic context, we'll have to weigh the risk versus gain and how much that impinges on the collection of valid foreign intelligence. So we're working through that. Not in a position today to say how that'll all come out, but clearly wherever we can enhance transparency to the benefit of our commercial partners, we certainly will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.